Hey guys, we're here today in Valheim, going over 10 tips to help you conquer the swamps. Alright, let's be real. The thumbnail and the title of this video is to just keep in theme with my previous two videos on the Black Forest and the Meadows. There is no conquering the swamps. So more accurately, here's 10 tips to hopefully help you not get destroyed in the swamps. Tip number 1, probably the most important tip, is to bring a hoe. So far, you may have been using the hoe to help you with your buildings by leveling the ground, or maybe by using it to build a ground wall around your base. But you're going to need to get used to using it a whole lot more while you're in the swamp. As you progress into the swamp, no doubt you'll notice there is water everywhere, and being wet in Valheim can be pretty detrimental when you're in combat. So if you use the hoe to level the ground around any of the wet areas and create yourself walkways, it can help keep you dry for those few times it's not raining in the swamp. Additionally, there are leeches running through the water in the swamp, which can poison you and deal some pretty good damage. Using the hoe's level ground feature and creating walkways through the swamp will help you avoid these leeches and can even help you kill them if you level the ground underneath one and slow it down. Keep in mind that if you do catch a leech and get it on ground, you do have to be quick before it slithers back into the water. When you're given time in the swamp, don't limit yourself to just creating walkways. Make sure you create big areas of ground and eliminate as much water as possible to make your life easier. Tip number 2, you desperately need to take Mead into the swamp. No doubt you've unlocked the Mead recipes for at least poison resist and a healing potion, and perhaps to this point you haven't even made them. But before you enter the swamp for the first time, make sure you take the time to get the supplies together and get some Mead made. These can be lifesavers. The poison resist arguably should be running the entire time you're in the swamp, since the Mead makes a pack of 6 poison resist potions, and they last 10 minutes. And you may already have gotten used to the Black Forest and the Meadows allowing you to create distance from enemies and escape dangerous fights, but the swamp is not going to allow you to do this. The rough terrain, the dangerous mobs, and the wet debuff make it incredibly hard to break away and escape fights, which means healing meads can save your life when you drop low on health. Tip number 3 is to diversify your weaponry. In the previous 2 biomes, you likely have gotten one weapon you like and used just that, since it can get by in almost any situation. But the swamp is the first biome that really forces you to open up your playstyle and your build and to utilize multiple things in the game. For example, if you've enjoyed blunt damage through clubs and maces to this point, that will do incredible for you against skeletons and blobs while you're in the swamp and can even help with Draugr. But if you come across an abomination, you're going to get destroyed, since blunt damage does almost nothing to them. On the other side of that, if you've been using a sword or an axe to this point and enjoying the slashing combat, then you'll probably handle an abomination pretty decently, but the poisonous blobs will likely laugh at you while they melt you down. You need to diversify your weaponry and use different damage types to be able to optimize everything while you're in the swamp. So if you like using slashing weapons, maybe just carry along with you a Stag Breaker to help for some AoE blunt damage when needed. And if you're a big fan of using maces, maybe make sure you're carrying along a bow and some extra arrows for some pierce damage. And don't forget to switch to your axe and chop some things down that aren't trees. Tip number 4 is to look out for the fire geysers that exist in the swamp. You'll see these spewing areas of flame that are actually Surtling spawners. Now these spawners, unlike Grey Dwarf spawners, cannot be destroyed by your weapons. So you're left with one of 2 options. You can dig out the terrain around it and turn it all into water, killing the Surtling right when they spawn and creating yourself a Surtling core and coal farm. Or you can level out the ground around the whole area and make it dirt, deal with the Surtlings when they do spawn, and use these locations to burn down abominations since they are weak to fire. Both of these options have their own merits and can be useful in certain situations. So prepare these geysers for whatever you're looking to do, whatever you need in the moment, every time you see one. And most importantly, mark them on your map. That way you don't have to pull up your map when running from an abomination, and you can just look at your minimap and head where you need to go to burn it down quickly. Tip number 5, you need to gain an understanding of the terrain in the swamp and utilize it to your advantage. There are fallen and broken down trees everywhere, and there are also indestructible trees throughout the forest. So make sure you're using these things to your advantage for things like building an outpost. If you build off of an indestructible tree, your base will gain foundation quality support, allowing you to build a tree house. And if you use the knockdown trees that are already there as ramps, mobs won't be able to follow you up into your outposts. Keeping in mind that you need to make these bases tall enough to avoid the large creatures like abominations. These knockdown trees are also the only place you should ever pause in the swamp to look at your map, make marks, or for whatever reason to go AFK while you're in the swamp. Anywhere on the ground level, even if you clear the area of mobs, is not safe. There will be more coming. So make sure you climb up on something high, like one of these trees, in order to avoid being attacked while you're making important marks, looking where you're going to go, or pinging something for an ally. Tip number 6. Build yourself campfires inside of crypts right at the entrance. Nearly, if not all, crypts in the game have a little ledge right when you enter, making it to where mobs inside of the crypt cannot come up and kill you right when you enter. This is also a platform that is dry and able to hold a campfire so you can gain the rested buff and heal up. Make sure you mark down the crypt so you know where to go, and bring wood with you to refill these campfires if it's been a while since you've been there. Tip number 7. After you've cleared out a dungeon, gotten all the iron you need, and are done with it, be sure to break down the green torches at the entrance with one of your weapons. This will snuff the torches out, allowing you to see from a distance if a crypt has been cleared by you already. And while you should be using the map marker system and creating X's through your crypt markers anyway, this torch snuffing system allows you to see it while you're running if you're running from enemies, and does not rely on you having to check your map in a dangerous area. And if you've been leaving campfires in these crypts, it also lets you identify that you've already been here and there's already a campfire in that crypt. Snuffing out these torches also has a use while you're in the dungeons, since they're lit up with a lot of torches as well. Make sure you break down the torches down each avenue you've gone, so you can keep track of what areas of the dungeon you've already explored, in case you have to take a break and come back later. Tip number 8. Make sure you utilize these crypts that you're clearing out and that have campfires in them to escape mobs when the fight gets dangerous. There will be countless times where you're being chased by more than you want to fight, or you're dealing with mobs that you can handle, and then all of a sudden an abomination shows up. Don't get arrogant or cocky or stay in a fight that you shouldn't be in. Get away and get to one of your crypts with a campfire and zone in. Give them time to move away, and then you can exit back out. Due to the fact that the entrance of the crypts have a little ledge to keep you safe, you can also escape into a crypt that you have not cleared. Just make sure you're carrying your swamp key with you so you can open the gate at the entrance. The swamp has a lot of areas that will allow you to escape, like the knockdown trees, in order to avoid something. However, all of these options take stamina from your character since you have to jump up them, which could get you killed if you haven't managed it good to this point. So zoning into the crypts is the safest thing if you have one nearby. Tip number 9. Do not dock your ship in the swamp. Whether you're exploring and getting to one for the first time, or you're coming to pick up some iron that you have stored at that swamp, do not dock in the swamp. Leeches can swim out and damage your boat at quite a distance, and it's very easy to get a ship stuck in the swamp since it's hard to see where exactly it's shallow and the ground will catch you. Take the time, as annoying as it might be, to dock your ship in a meadows or black forest biome nearer the swamp and run that extra distance. This will keep your ship safe from being destroyed and ideally keep you safe from recurring deaths trying to get your ship materials back. And tip number 10. It's been said in previous videos, it applies to all of Valheim, but we're gonna say it again: stay home at night. Either sleep the night away or just stay at your base at night. Do not explore the swamp at night. The mobs are incredibly dangerous at night. They multiply at night, and if it's nighttime in the swamp, not only will you be wet, but you will also have the cold debuff, stacking on you even more loss of health regen and stamina regen. This can very easily lead to deaths and ruin your day. If you do happen to even die in the swamp, and it's around nighttime, I recommend respawning and sleeping the night away and then going back later during the day to get your gear. If you go back that night, you will likely die again and again and have a really rough time. In addition to everything being harder in the swamp at night, the Wraith creature spawns only at night and can fly around the area. These are the only creatures that can hit you when you're up in an elevated outpost or on a knockdown tree trying to get your bearings. These guys can be very tough to deal with, and they hit really, really hard. You definitely don't want to add one into a fight with an abomination or any of the other creatures in the area. Now, they do drop very valuable chains that can be used to create multiple things in the game. So at some point you may need a hunt rates, in which case you will inevitably go to the swamp at night. But if you do not need chains specifically, do not go into the swamp at night. Take your time, wait the nightfall out, and head into the swamp when you have the best chance of survival. Hopefully this video can help you out whether you're a new or returning player, handle the swamp to the best of your ability, prepare you for the many dangers of the biome, and set you up for victory. In my experience, the swamp is a brutal biome when you first get there and can be very tough to deal with. You will likely gain many deaths while you're in here, but hopefully these tips help you survive. If these tips do in fact help you conquer the swamp, let me know down in the comments and add in any of your tips to help take on the swamp so other players can see them. Thanks for watching, I will see you next time.